Okay, so thank you all for being here today. What we're going to do today is we're all going to take around 5 minutes, hopefully, to share some thoughts and ideas regarding Message Sent and the great works of Adil Salahuddin Saab. And then after that, we'll take any questions or comments from the audience. Okay? So, you know, when I was thinking about how I would spend my 5 minutes here today, I was thinking back to those days long ago when the age of letter writing was in full bloom. You know, I remember as a young person the excitement which hailed every letter's arrival as it fell through the letterbox onto the tile floor below. We lived at that time far away from Pakistan, some 6,092 miles to be correct, in the UK, and letters from home, whether family or friends, were special. The interest was primarily, I must admit, who had sent it, but the close second was the stamp. That coloured, pasted artwork in the corner, letting us know where it was from and how much it cost to get to you. People of my age, shall we say above 45, you know, all remember the stamp, and many of us remember it with great fondness. The world of stamps is a world gone by, but it behoves us to remember them, those days long ago of waiting patiently for the envelope with news, with kind words and with love. It is incumbent upon us to step back, even just for a moment, to remember that small right-hand corner of the envelope and that tiny poster of proclamation, the postage stamp. Postage stamps play an important role and have an educational, recreational and investment value. The postage stamp is a flimsy thing, no thicker than a beetle's wing, and yet it will roam the world for you exactly where you tell it to. That's a little poem. So, what can I say about Adil Salahuddin? That he is one of the 10 top most prolific stamp designers in the world, possibly the most prolific, that his quiet, unassuming talent and nature belies the genius which has resulted in over 250 million copies of his creation being reproduced and circulated the world over. That he has designed over 800 stamps, that as my mamu, he has always struck me as being a warm, friendly person, immensely humble, and in his approach to life and to people in general. Or that he is greatly valued in the family as a real source not only of inspiration but also of support. Adil Salahuddin was the chief designer of the Pakistan Security Printing Corporation, and he is currently general manager of Pakistan's Post Office Foundation Press. His feats of talent have included not only designing stamps for Pakistan, but also comprised the designing of stamps, banknotes, passports, bonds, share certificates, as well as identity cards for several other countries, including Abu Dhabi, Bahrain, Burma, Iraq, Jordan, Kuwait, Nepal, Oman, Qatar, Sri Lanka, and Yemen. Phew. Clearly his talent, to understate the obvious, is neither localized nor unrecognized. One of the most interesting things I learned about him was that for 3 years of art college, his parents actually thought that he was at engineering college. And it wasn't until he was caught carrying home some canvases from his thesis called The Nude that, and you can imagine what those look like, that they actually got to know what he was doing, graduating from our premier art college, NCA. And the rest, as they say, is history. And so he has devoted his waking hours to the development of postage stamps. Over 30 years later, he feels that this time has not been ill spent. Those who collect stamps as a hobby or as a profession are well aware that the stamp artist's mark is eternally preserved and treasured, and this lends itself to a degree of immortality, as events in history are marked by the production of specific stamps. Even non-philatelists first look before they lick, and everyone who has ever used a stamp is, I am sure, to varying degrees aware of the creative endeavors which have contributed to its creation. Stamp design is by no means an easy task, and in the time when Adil Saab started stamp design, it certainly was not. He started stamp design not in the time of computer graphics today, but in the time of hand-developed, hand-painted little squares, which meant that every time there was a change, they had to start all over again. Just imagine. Okay, so let me just say thank you for listening, and we will turn now to the man himself, Adil Salahuddin.
जी अस्सलाम वालेकुम। अर्शी ने इतनी डिटेल से मेरा तारुफ करा दिया है कि मुझे ख़ुद कुछ कहने की अब ज़रूरत नहीं है, लेकिन ये मैं बता दूं कि ये अब आर्ट जो है ये अब डाइंग आर्ट होता जा रहा है, क्योंकि अब ना कोई लेटर इस्तेमाल करते हैं, ना कोई कार्ड भेजते हैं, ना कोई। तो एक ज़माना था कि एक स्टैम्प जो है वो 20 लाख 25 लाख हम छापते थे, और अब इंतहा है कि 2 लाख 2.5 लाख से ज़्यादा स्टैम्प नहीं छपते। लेकिन दुनिया में ये हॉबी अभी ख़त्म नहीं हुई है, और माशाल्लाह हमारे स्टैम्प दुनिया में बहुत ही अच्छे समझे जाते हैं। और हमने अपने पूरे कैरियर में कोई ऐसा टॉपिक नहीं छोड़ा पाकिस्तान का जिसमें मैंने डिज़ाइन ना किया हो, चाहे वो माउंटेन सीरीज़ हो, चाहे लेक्स ऑफ पाकिस्तान, या कोई आप नाम लें, हर बर्ड्स पे हमने बहुत बड़ी सीरीज़ निकाली, पेंटर्स ऑफ पाकिस्तान पे बहुत बड़ी सीरीज़ निकाली। तो ये मेरी कंट्रीब्यूशन है, और इस किताब में अर्शी ने बहुत ही इंसाफ किया है और तमाम डिटेल से हर चीज़ और हर स्टेम को इन्होंने डिटेल से उसमें वाज़े कर दिया है। तो मैं बस इतना ही कहना चाहूँगा, बाकी आप किताब देखेंगे तो आपको अच्छा लगेगा। थैंक यू अर्शी।
Thank you. Can we turn to Marjorie Hussain now?
Well, I know very well that Adil was persuaded by his friends, Zuhur and others of, who else was there? VM and others, to study art because he was so very good at art. They used to meet in the evenings, and draw and do things, and they said, no, you're an artist, you have to go to art school. So Adil joined NCA without his parents knowing, and did very well. And he was always the person that everyone liked him. All the students, all his friends. He was very, very popular. And when Bashir Mirza opened a gallery in Karachi, he persuaded Adil to come down and said, Adil, you stay with me in the gallery. And then Professor Shakir Ali came and said, what's this nonsense, Adil? You're going to do stamps, because he knew that he was a perfect miniature painter, and he said, this is the place for you. So then Adil went along and started his career. But there was one incident I remember Adil showing me, one painting he had done from his thesis work, and it was a very modest nude, a back painting of a nude, very modest, And I had a look at it and said, yeah, it's very nice, Adil, but she's got very big feet. And he said, well, actually, it's a boy. I couldn't get a female model. But one incident that stands out very much with me is the exhibition that took place in Singapore when Adil's selection, a collection of stamps on Mohenjo-daro, was shown at the Philately Museum in Singapore, because they are very particular about stamps in Singapore, and they were lit in such a beautiful way. It was magic. As you came in, there was this row of Mohenjo-daro images, stamp size, lit up so it was sort of green, you know. And then there was a talk. We had a talk on Mohenjo-daro, and a wonderful audience. And unfortunately, Adil wasn't there at that time. But this stayed in my mind because I think this is the work of a genius. Of course, he went on to do work for other work in Pakistan of the National College. I think you did the National College stamps, and so much he has done that one expects more, and he's doing so much now in the art world and continuing with his work. And I think this is a wonderful book, and congratulate the writer. She spent a lot of time on this. It's a very thick book with a lot of details, and it's really fascinating. I think anyone would be very fascinated to read this book and to read about this genius, this wonderful, unusual man. Really, thank you.
Can I pass the mic to Iqbal Nanji Sahab?
Thank you. Assalamu alaikum, ladies and gentlemen. In short few minutes to describe the book will not be doing justice to the work that has been done by both the author and Adil Sahib himself. He has dedicated his life to stamps and to preserving the history, which, if I must say, that Pakistan post, neither the government of Pakistan have such a large collection of the artwork as well as the original stamps and proofs and essays which go with it. This was preserved by Adil Salahuddin, and he presented this to the State Bank of Pakistan, which is a big effort from the person who used to hold all these very close to his heart. Now, toward the book, the life and works of Adil Salahuddin has been presented by the well-known author, Ms. Arshi Ahmed Aziz, and together they produced the best book on philately and compiled the research work preserved over the last 50 years into a grand presentation, not only by the excellent quality printing, but the extensive layout, designing techniques, and the plethora of stamps and artwork produced by Adil Salahuddin in his long and distinguished career, to which he is still dedicated. Although he had retired as General Manager of the Pakistan Security Printing Corporation in 2002, he still continues as the General Manager of the Pakistan Post Foundation Press, and he still designs stamps at a very short notice. Apart from his passion as a miniaturist, he has produced works of art on a piece of paper ranging from 1 to 2 square inches and kept in archives with his art and design work of his own personal collection. As a printer, and his own material is in fact the personal collection of Adil Salahuddin, which has been presented by him without their request to the State Bank Museum. This is on display for all to see at that museum. So you can see that the book covers almost everything, including the political events and some of the great world famous stamps, which according to Adil Saab, the quantity has been brought down to 10% of what was being produced in the past. But nevertheless, as a collector, I would say that is very good, because if you preserve the history, which means the entire envelope and the route that has been followed, then you would have an excellent historic exhibit of Pakistan. And I recommend all collectors that who are not exhibitors, they should learn this from the annual exhibition that I held with the help and assistance of the Dawn Media Group.
Abdul Wahid Saab.
Assalamu alaikum. First of all, it's certainly an honor to talk about Mr. Adil Salahuddin, whose efforts in stamp designing reigns the national philatelic scene for well over 3 decades. If we look at the number of stamps that he has designed, I mean just the commemorative or definitive or other stamps that we have, it is well over 600. Now, being a stamp collector, I mean, you always try to look for knowledge. My first formal introduction to Mr. Adil Salahuddin was well over 10 years back during one of the national stamp exhibition at Karachi, where I had to ask, with particular reference to the printing of Pakistani pre-decimal stamps, which was printed by Thomas de la Rue, and of course also the quality and printing of Pakistani stamps. Mr. Adil Salahuddin has been really remarkable if we really scan through the history of stamps that has been produced in Pakistan. If we look at the entire collection of it, there is one stamp that comes out very prominent, although it has been highlighted. It's the gold stamp. I don't know how many of you ever heard about it. The gold stamp of Pakistan. It's a 10 rupee gold stamp, which I would in fact like to show you as well. I just got it because I'm not sure, especially our younger generation would have seen it, or even the other ones. This is a real gold stamp, and it contains 25 milligram of gold of 23-24 carats. It was first time ever produced on the centenary of Quaid-e-Azam Muhammad Ali Jinnah in 1976. So that's part of our history. And let me tell you, this has been a collector's item and a gift from Pakistan Postage. We have a number of subjects that has been dealt by Adil Salahuddin Saab, and I would like to highlight just few of them, particularly the one which was mentioned by Adam Marjorie Rahman, Mohenjo-daro. That's again is one of the classics. It's a multiple 5 stamp series. It's a Citanent, first time ever produced in Pakistan. Actually, it's on the first day cover of the stamp. And it was a UNESCO campaign. And I would also like to highlight another one, which is another group of 6 stamps of the old city Lahore. So these are some of the very important stamps that has been produced. There was another set of stamps on 1988 Seoul Olympics. There was a set of 10 stamps with 36 other labels in a sheet. It was beautiful. I mean, if you look at those stamps, they are really worth any of the albums beauty. So if you scan over the period that he has been working or contributing to the stamps or the philatelic world, it has been wonderful. Even the personalities of Pakistan, we have a series for the painters of Pakistan, which is in one sheet we have 10 stamps. It's a beautiful stamp series. We have national and international stamps.
Thank you. And can I ask Dr. Asma to share a few thoughts?
Yes, hello and Assalamu alaikum everybody. Well, I'm going to start with a total different view of Adil Salahuddin, what has been discussed here. And I would say that he is a legend, and he has made himself more legend, and he has left his mark in the history by donating such a huge collection of his personal belonging. So up till now we have all discussed about his contribution in the stamps, but he has his contribution in the designing of the currency notes. So basically he's a designer who has played a big role in the history of Pakistan, and he was one of the earliest batch which was trained by De La Rue to design the currency notes manually till we started designing the currency notes by computer. So he was very much, what can I say, so generous that he has donated his whole collection of manually designed for currency notes, not only for currency notes but for the stamps also. And this collection was on display for a long time in the museum, but now it is a permanent part of the museum, and we are, as per incentive of our governor, we are establishing a corner in the name of Adil Saab, and it will be there for all times to come. So he's one of the only person, I think, in the name of whom the corner has been established in any of the museums of Pakistan. So this was his generosity, and he could have sold his collection. I know a lot of big people who have sold their collections, but he was very generous, and he said, no, I want to give it to the museum. So another big role which was played by Adil Saab in my work was that when I started working for the Museum of State Bank, being in the field of museum, I knew that there's no stamp gallery or no stamp museum in Pakistan. And I had a great opportunity because State Bank left everything on me, that whatever I want to design. So I was free. I thought that why not go for a stamp gallery, which was a transitory period between coins to currency. So I approached Adil Saab and I asked his help for guiding me into this, because being an archaeologist, I didn't know much about stamps. So he was all ways there, and with all his, help and guidance for me. So he guided throughout the work of the gallery. Not only this, but he introduced me to PSPC's small museum, which was established by Adil Saab. I think very few people know that he had established a museum in Pakistan Security Press. So he quietly told me that there is a small museum, you go and get this stuff. So I didn't know about it, and after his suggestion I went there and I got that collection from Security Press, although they were very upset. They didn't know who told me about this collection. So that collection is also in the State Bank Museum. It took me a long time to get the permission for that collection from Ministry of Interior, from KPI, which is Key Point Installation Ministry. You know, as per FBI rules, we are not allowed to take out those plates, original plates for currency notes printing. So he was kind enough to tell me all that, and I did the struggle. But they are there in the museum, so which makes it a very unique collection. So I would like everyone to come and see that collection as well. Plus, he donated us more than 200 stamp albums, which was his lifetime collection, and it covers more than 116 countries. You know, Adil sir? It's more than 116 countries. So I keep on changing that collection, and believe me that it is so much appreciated by the visitors, and the generosity of Adil Saab. Not only that, but the collection of the stamps is amazing. So you are all invited to see that collection as well, which is in the museum. Plus, the stamp gallery has played a big role for schools. We have nearly, like every day we have more than 200 kids in the museum. And trust me, most of, like I think 99% of the kids don't know what is a stamp. So they asked us, because they are email children, this is the email generation and computer generation, so they asked me what is this used for, schools, you know. So I think it was the right time decision that we established a stamp gallery there, and we have a first post box of Pakistan Post Office, which was again told by Adil Saab that it is there and you can get this. So I got that, and we have converted it into a suggestion box, and so that children at least know that there used to be a post box and they post a letter, so their suggestion is posted as a letter and they have a feel of a post box, which I think there are no more post box in Karachi. I don't see anymore, if there are few. So this is another thing which he did, and I'm not forgetting anything. Yeah, the guidance I covered. And about the book, yes, I would say that I have already seen the book. I don't want to suspense mein khatam nahi karna chahti hu, but it's the most beautifully designed book. And this is done by his daughter Aisha, and I have really high opinion about the design of the book and the content of the book, which is of course Arshi has written, beautifully written, and a beautiful book. And I think that this was the time that it should have come. I mean, very few people have touched this subject which is in the book, and I would encourage everybody to come and read that book. The material it has about the history of the stamps and the details and the beautiful photography and the collection which is there in the book. So on behalf of State Bank of Museum, I would like to again acknowledge his help and thanks. He's such a humble person that nobody can guess that that how high and what a legend he is, and how high he is being held in the country. And I at least pay a lot of respect to his work, whatever he has done, and I'm sure it will go into the Guinness World of Record pretty soon. The number of stamps have been designed by Adil Saab. So this was just my little gesture about Adil Saab.